Hi there, guys, and welcome to the Chaos Show. My name's Steve Chappell. I'm the sales director here at cMotion over in Vienna, where we're having our virtual demonstration, and I'm joined by Dennis.
Hi, Dennis, product manager at cMotion, and happy you're here with us today.
So I know we can't get to see you guys in person, and we've missed so many trade shows over the last almost 2 years. And it's my first time actually visiting the office here for 2 years. So it's good to be with the team again and put together a presentation showing you a full range of our products.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Steve.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. What we'd like to do today, this presentation is about the cPRO Advanced and the roadmap. So I've got Dennis with us to give us a little insight into new and upcoming features that we're yet to announce. But because it's the advanced session, we won't go into the basics, but we want to just give you an insight and go through the cPRO Plus. Now, the main hand unit here, we'll swap to a little slightly different view and angle, I think, for that one, please. So the design of the cPRO Plus is stealth black, which makes it stand out from the cPRO and cPRO 1. So at first glance, you know you have got the best of the best. Now, here we have torque adjustment on the focus knob, so we're able to adjust the friction. We have 3 additional user buttons to the regular buttons we have on all cPRO hand units. And the hand unit is actually full of all the cPRO licenses that we offer. So this includes camera control for ARRI, Red, and Sony, and our data license and the new range license. Now, one thing about the cPRO system, and we use the red coded radio. So this is different to the ARRI white. It's a very quick connecting system. What we have over here on setup on the Alexa Mini, we have our cPRO motor connected to the strong, fast, powerful cForce Plus, and then we have a cForce Mini. Now, powering the system, while we're focused on the camera, we actually are showing a relatively new cable to the system. This is our LBus Star cable that allows us to use an additional power supply when we're working with an Alexa Mini and these particular motors, as they do need additional power, and it's not always sufficient going through the LBus connector. Now, you may notice they're all flashing, so they're all ready, they're calibrated, but they don't have a control. So we'll just show you how quick and efficient the hand unit is at starting up and ready to control the lens. Simply press the home button, this will go through a boot up, and now we're all ready to go. So in less than a second and a half, we're all ready. So this is kind of no necessary need for hot swap batteries, but you can change and get ready to go in less than 2 seconds. Now, you may notice on the hand unit, we have a pre-marked focus ring and a pre-marked slider. So these are available with different T-stops, depending on the lens, and the marker rings are available imperial and also metric. Now, if you have access to WCU4 marker rings or you forget them, they are interchangeable from the WCU4 and the cPRO as well as the Hi5. Now, I think Dennis has got a little bit more information about marker rings to tell the guys, haven't you?
Yeah, we're also here today to not just talk about the cPRO Plus, but also about new developments and future updates that we're facing. So we have here underneath our marker ring. You may have seen it already. Some marker, some pins. Also, with the new ARRI Hi5 marker rings, you can see these this chip, and in the next cPRO software release will enable the full functionality for cPRO Plus, fully automatically detected marker rings, but also for other cPRO and cPRO 1 hand units where you can select this. And be excited, more features with the marker rings will continue.
Thank you very much. So that's something exciting to look forward to. So if you have received your cPRO Plus, you're using the cPRO Plus, you may not be aware of this. So if you remove the focus ring, you may see a warranty sticker. Is that right, Dennis?
Yeah, there's a warranty sticker initially. So please feel free to take it off. And you will not lose your warranty. You need to use a TX8 screwdriver to lift those pins up into its mechanically working position, and the software update will follow soon to enable all the functionality.
Okay, great. So what we've got, so we've got our lens loaded on here. Now, one advanced feature is having a system where you can have multiple hand units. So enabling you to share iris control with the DP, or perhaps you want to pass control to the DIT using the interface. So they may be the Cinefade Vari ND, they want to change ND, rotopolar. But it's quick and easy to change and share the lens file with a second hand unit. So Dennis has got a cPRO hand unit here. There's no lens currently loaded. So the simple process of this is going into my hand unit, selecting lens, selecting load, and then finding the lens I want to load, simply activate, and this will be transferred automatically over the RF to the second hand unit. So if I have control here, I can send, Dennis can have a display of the information live, so we both know exactly what axis we are controlling. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, there's some other features we want to go through. We're going to the menu just to show the basic setups that you may want to get more wireless range, for example, where people may have interference on set. So the radio module, we've seen it's very quick and set up. But if we go into the radio setting, we have 13 channels. Now, the advantage of this, you can have multiple systems on the set, but you can also change the region. So if you're working on an international production, simply change the region to the country you're shooting in, and this will ensure you are within the legal requirements for the power that is supplied to the radio module. Now, once applied on the hand unit, this will update the motor directly, and it will give a coding for that country. Now, to get back in the menu, we can simply swipe through, or you can use the back button. And one other feature that has come up recently with one of our community managers is the fact you've got metric and imperial. Now, although I'm using a metric lens, you may have someone from England who wants to use imperial. So I can actually have metric on one hand unit, imperial on the other, regardless of how that lens has been created. Now, this hand unit is totally customizable with the illuminations as well. So we can actually adjust the brightness of the buttons, the display, the focus knob, the slider, and we have the illumination for the joystick up the top. But it's also got a light sensor. So this can be automatically activated on and off and adjust the brightness to suit conditions. Now, as you'd expect, we have a vibration function that gives you a haptic feedback in the full range of the cPRO hand units. Now, this is particularly helpful when going from page to page in the menus, but when you want to set a marker. So if you want to set 3 focus markers, for example, you get a progressive haptic feedback. As you're getting closer, you get 1, then you'll get 2, and then you'll get a more intense vibration through the hand unit when you hit the actual mark. Now, I think we can do that on all 3 axis and distance. Is that true, Dennis?
Markers are available on all axes for focus, iris, and zoom. And also in the future, we will basically link those markers to the values. So you can maintain this. If you change lens, for example, and you have markers on 2 meters, you will maintain this for another lens. Optional, of course, you can delete it. You will have more markers available, and also the markers can be closer together. So yeah, you can set more markers next to each other. Vibration feedback, of course, optional to be turned on and off. Yep, will also be available with a new software release.
Okay, so that's one way of getting your limitation or setting your markers. Now, you may want to use the mechanical limits. So the mechanical limits are available on all of the cPRO hand units. So we can move them here. And when we turn the focus knob, we have this little pin that comes across. So that will stop and limits the rotation of the focus knob, not the motor. However, we have this button called the panic button that we can simply push and ride underneath the mechanical limit that enables you to shoot slate, for example, or if your actor misses the mark, you don't have to fumble around to undo the mechanical limit to be able to turn the focus knob to where it needs to be. It's a simple case of pushing down and it will ride underneath that mechanical limit. Now, if you want to use the mechanical limits as a touch point, you can simply push the button down, rotate it round, and then it will be withheld and it will simply ride underneath the whole time. Now, going back into the menu, we've seen the interface. We have our touch interface, but also the thumb wheel. These can obviously be turned off and activated as you need. The thumb wheel is a great way of navigating through the menu and the settings, especially in a cold environment when you're using gloves and you can't use the touch screen. But you can also lock the touch screen and the thumb wheel to avoid any mishaps or changing settings that you don't need to. Now, one feature that cPRO is renowned for, and cVolution we developed in collaboration with the focus puller, is the stealth mode. Now, this feature is particularly helpful when doing night shoots and you're working with glass, or you're working in an area where there's mirrors and reflections. This enables you to deactivate all of the LED illumination on any L-bus device. So we've got the view now of the motors. If I simply go into the stealth mode setting, activate this, and you'll see that all of the LEDs have now been deactivated. However, I still maintain my full focus control throughout the system. Turn this back off, and then we're back to our normal setting. Now, another feature that's great that has been added in software development is the power save mode. Now, what this does, again, it's across the board with the cPRO systems. You're able to activate this for 5, 10 longer settings. Let's go back here, power save. And once you put the hand unit down, it goes into a sleep mode to save its battery. And of course, anything with the gyro, if you pick the hand unit up, it will re-wake. If you turn any of the axis or push a button, it will instantly reactivate, but it doesn't lose connection right away,
because it doesn't lose connection. Exactly. So it's still there, but it saves power while you're not using it. And as soon as you pick it up, or as soon as you move one of the axes, it's back there with full illumination, and it's constantly connected to the motor.
But it's a good one. It saves around 30% of the battery. Is that right?
Up to 30%, depending on your light settings. Yes, you can.
Okay. Okay, so going through the menu a little bit further, there's a few things that we want to touch on, and one is particularly helpful is the user profiles. Now, Dennis can tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, user profiles are pretty convenient. For example, if you change setups from interior to exterior, for example, you have different illuminations of the handset, so you can basically load those lens files. Before that, of course, a lens file is a snapshot of the hand unit settings, so you save it, and then in the corresponding circumstances, you can load it. It is including the lens file if you need this. For example, if you have 2 different camera setups and you're swapping between 2 camera setups with 1 hand unit only, I think this is pretty convenient. Also, for example, if you use a special item like Cinefade, which has different button setups, it's pretty convenient just to load a new profile if you're in that situation to use it, and then swap back to a regular camera setup.
Okay, so I've noticed once you activate your user profile, it restarts the hand unit just to reset everything. But we've still got the other hand unit on, so that's actually taken the control as my backup. So if we can just power that down, then my connection will come back, and now I have full access and full control back on my main hand unit. Now, control axis, obviously we can swap around. This is renowned, the focus knob, mainly for focus pulls, but with the second hand unit, you could assign that to iris or anything you want. But we've got your regular controls, the focus knob, the slider, and the pressurized joystick, but we've also at the base, the thumb wheel. Now, I've been using this to navigate the menu. However, it can be assigned to be a control of any axis, but also the Cinefade Vari ND. You could change the rotopolar ND feature while having a zoom lens and the full lens control. So just going into the control menu. Sorry, Dennis.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have a separate session on the Cinefade just want to add on Sunday. This is right. 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. GMT. So please feel free to join us on Sunday if you're interested in Cinefade, Vari ND, and on Saturday we have cVision.
Oh, cVision, yes.
So at the same time, 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. GMT, and we'll dive deeper into rangefinder solutions and integration.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's nice that you touched on that. I mean, they're both. We covered them in our Pro accessory presentation that is going to be available or is available to download and view, but we didn't have them set up. But yeah, we're going to have those dedicated ones. We're also inviting community managers that use these on a daily basis. So the Cinefade, we've got Martin joining us on Sunday that uses the Cinefade as a daily tool, not just to change the depth of field, but having that variable ND control from his hand unit. So no matter where the camera is, he's got direct access and can change it at a second's notice. Now, axis-wise, we have a few things I just wanted to go through here with you, Dennis. We have the axis control. We're familiar with the focus, iris, and zoom, and of course the filter, we're referring to the cine fade. However, we have auxiliary and focus ramp. I think the focus ramp would probably cover in the C-Vision presentation tomorrow. But auxiliary, can you just give me a little bit of an explanation about the auxiliary connection we have?
Yeah, auxiliary enables a fourth axis control. So you can basically assign any motor to auxiliary through the hand unit, not on the motor itself, but when it's connected to the elbows chain. And you can use it for anything, maybe panning a rangefinder to readjust it to its position, but also up to other things like panning lights around, whatever is needed on set to be motorized. You can assign it to the auxiliary axis and control it through one of the controls on the hand unit.
Okay. So lens file, I think what we want to do is have a little bit of an insight with creating a lens. So the way that we work, we can create a lens file for virtually any lens. Now we'll do a motor calibration and that will give you the physical end stops of the lens and it enables you to give it a digital encoded position. So it will give you precision, but it ensures that when you're doing a fast focus rack, you're not going to hit one of the end stops. Now, I want to go through just creating a lens, just to give you an example. We won't do the full lens, but just to show you how simple it is to actually create a new lens file. We've got a new feature, I think, Dennis, that allows us just to use the focus knob because it gives us more precision. Is that right?
We're going to show you a few tips and tricks how we can improve the workflow, how we can enhance it and speed it up, maybe that you don't know yet. So Steve, please.
Yeah, so we've just gone into the lens menu and we come down to create. So here we've got, I think the iris is separated out, but we've got an identification of which motors are ready and which we need to calibrate. So we can calibrate them directly from the hand unit or from the motors button. But the key feature is if it starts slipping, if any of the motors start slipping, you can press the calibration button again, and that will instantly stop the motors. Is that right?
Yeah, the calibration button, if you started the calibration and you press it again, it will stop it. For example, if the camera is on a crane and you hear the motor go through, this is a nice way to stop it. And or you can also do the same on the motor itself by pressing just the calibration button on the motor.
Cool. So once we go into next, we'll see here that we've got 3 motors that are connected and it's showing right. So this is telling us the side of the camera that the motor is actually mounted. So this makes sure that when you've created the data, it's traveling in the correct direction. So your close focus to infinity is going the right way. Now, if you mount your motors inverted, of course, you need to then flip. So even though they're on the right side, you will need to change this to left by simply pressing the assigned button to change the direction. Once we're happy, we press next, and this will open up the Lens Wizard list of lenses manufacturers that are available. But of course, we keep adding to this with new lenses that are coming into the market. So we just simply go through and I have my Fujin on. So I can simply touch the display. We have a set button, but also a quick way of doing this is the user button here. So whenever you're in a menu, you can actually use this as a quick assign just to accept and confirm one of the features. So simply press this 4 times. We have now given the lens a name. We can go into next. Serial number, again, we just give it a very simple serial number, select next. And now I have the option to create an imperial or a metric lens. Now I'm using a metric, so I can simply select metric here. You'll notice all of these are currently red. That means that they're not assigned with any positions. We simply select focus and we get certain buttons that will illuminate to tell you that you can use them. Is that right, Dennis?
Yeah, we can maybe show it later in the menu again. The button illumination always shows if it's assigned or not assigned, and if there's a function behind the button. And yeah, this also helps to easily navigate on the cPRO itself.
Okay.
But here we have now the knob calibration only. Maybe you have skipped that before.
I think I may have done.
Yeah, because this is in this menu part. There you have one button that you can press, this user button 1. Once you press this, all axes will be assigned during the lens mapping to the knob, which enables you more precise control of the axis. And you can calibrate focus, iris, and zoom through the knob control. Later on, once it's finished, you can then it will automatically switch back to the regular assignment.
Okay, so now I've got the infinity mark. I've lined up my lens. a bit of a reflection.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, it is the chaos show. We will then come round to my close focus. So we have 085. So we'll move around here. And then I simply use the thumb wheel to go through the values until I get to the value I need. So we can go faster if we go around here, simply tune into the value that I want to add. I can touch the screen.
Yeah, you have mentioned it already, Steve. I think there's multiple ways to navigate and also to set values through the set button on the through the set button here in on the button function, through the touch display, or through the back button here. It's always assigned in the lens mapping menu to set. Also, the back button, for example, in the regular menu, you can use it to enter menus, to enter submenus. This is also a very quick way to navigate.
Excellent. So what we'll do now, we'll just do 2 values on the iris. So actually, I'll go round to close. So I have 22. So I'll just line up my motor. Again, using the thumb wheel, we come round to our 22 value, press the button at the back. Then I want to come round to my open iris. Now, the open on this lens is T29. So if I come through, I have a T2 and I have a T28.
That's the predict that we do to cover the most common lenses.
Yeah.
But you have the option to press the resolution button. This says here is user button 3.
So I press
and
this
it
button
will
here.
change the resolution to 0.1. And you can assign any other
So now we have
keystop.
Set our value here. Okay, so the last value. Now, even if you're using a prime lens, you need to save that value. So we need to go into the zoom. So this is our last axis. So for example, a 50mm lens, we can simply go through the scale until we get 50 displayed on the screen, set that value, next, and now all my values are available. I can actually save that lens file and share it with a second-hand unit.
Yeah, I mean, setting at least one value is important to give proper depth of field calculation for the hand unit. Later on, if you don't have a motor assigned, you can also use one of our set iris or set zoom functions to change that. And will in the future also enable other ways to get that metadata into the hand unit through the motors, and trying to optimize these workflows continuously.
Yeah, and one of the things we've got here, you may notice that the lens here is highlighted slightly differently. So this is a favorite setting. So I can activate and deactivate. I can choose a particular lens, can't I? So using one of the user buttons, I can actually load a list of favorite lenses. So you may have multiple lenses, but you only want to go between 2 or 3. They may be identical. So it gives you a chance to select your lenses individually.
Yeah, it is the easiest way to select a few lenses that you may want to use for your shoot. And then you just switch to the menu of the favorites, and you just have those lenses that you need in your list. So that makes it very easy to just pick the right lens.
And if you want more information on the lens, we have options with the buttons, haven't we?
So also here we have user button 2, for example. You can sort it. So you can sort it by, maybe you do it, otherwise I covered the screen. You can sort it by focal length, by t-stop, or by the name. And user button 3 in this menu allows you to get further information on the lens. This is, for example, serial number, or if it's been created as a metric lens, and if it's in the favorite list, and so on.
Fantastic. Okay, so I can simply come out of this now. Now, one feature that, say, we've mentioned with the cPRO Plus, it's including all of the camera control licenses. Now, we're using the Arri Alexa Mini. You can have access to control the Sony, such as the Sony Venice, F5, F55, and the Red cameras, correct?
Yeah, exactly. This is the camera control that we're covering now. And
so on this page here, we have an overview of the camera settings. So this shows me exactly what the camera settings are. And if I press and hold the button at the bottom, that will allow me to access the options that I can change in the camera's menu. So if I wanted to change the frame rate, I simply activate here, and then every frame rate option that's available on the camera will be available through the touchscreen. It's very quick and efficient to use. Now, once you're used to this interface, it's the same with every camera. Is that correct?
That's right.
Fantastic. So again, frame rate, shutter, ISO, white balance, ND. Now, playback. This is something that's got a few extra features, and you've got a few things you'd like to talk about regarding the playback.
Playback, maybe not everyone knows that. Maybe Steve, you enter it again. otherwise cover the screen. So here you can.
You can do this, Dennis.
I will.
I
So
trust
here
you.
you can basically use a fast forward or fast backward function through the user button 3, for example. You get a fast forward function. So you can tab it twice or 3 times. So it increases from 2 to 4 to 8 to 16. And the same is for the fast backward function. Also, you can select with user button 1 just the previous clip, or with this function here, the next clip, and you can skip through those clip lists. Other things, of course, that we want to show you is how you can easily enter other menus. And this is another user button, which is user button 2. When you are in all these main pages, you can easily, by pressing and holding this button, enter that specific main page and select it. Here I've entered the user button page, for example, or if you're on another screen, let's say here's the camera control, I can press and hold this and enter right away this the camera settings, select what I want to adjust, and just do it. Exactly.
So one of the features, the advantage of having the buttons, and of course the cPRO Plus having the additional user buttons, is with the ARRI cameras and also with Red, you can assign user buttons that you would with a WCU4, but to the cPRO. So whether you want this to be a color change or an ND increase by increment, you can assign them to your cPRO hand unit. Now, as I say, we have our additional buttons underneath the focus knob. We have 3 main buttons, 2 buttons down here, and of course the magic button on top. Now, working together wirelessly, we've got 3 wireless hand units, can be used connectively. So we can have the focus puller, the DIT and the DP, but we can also use a cPRO cam-in. Now this will enable us to use, again, it's similar connectors to what we have on our cPRO motor. Let me just move this to the side. So this has the cam connector that interfaces with the cameras for start, stop, and camera control, and the L bus allowing us to connect multiple C-Force motors. Now, the thing that's different between the cPRO cam-in and the cPRO motor is this has a command setting. Now, this allows us to set a client and host mode. Now, the advantages of this is that you can add any L bus device to the wireless network with your cPRO hand unit. So you can be independently controlling the VariND. I think we had a video from a DP that was doing this with the Russian arm, but you can also use 2 together to increase the wireless range. So you'll simply have your hand unit communicating to the cam-in. This will be cabled to a second cam-in, which will be on a separate channel, if I'm not mistaken. That will then communicate to the cPRO motor or cPRO cam-in on the camera. Now, this is particularly helpful if you're working with drones and you're using a very long distance and you need to increase that wireless range. Now, I think we've covered most aspects of it, but we go back just to these ergonomic side of things with the cPRO range. Of course, most of you will be having a monitor. We have a monitor bracket. So instead of mounting it to the top, as many manufacturers have done, which can make it top heavy, our monitor bracket is mounted onto the side, which makes the hand unit well balanced and ergonomic. So it also allows you to have multiple fixing points on the top, such as a quick release or a holster, so you can have the hand unit to your side instead of using the neck strap. But if you're using a focus station and you want to have a quick release, you can simply use the mounting point on the top so you can remove without having to worry about removing your monitor.
Yeah, other than that, there are a few things to come, of course, in the future. And we're also happy to announce that we're working on a new software release for Q1 in 2022. This will include one of the biggest parts, the camera control for the Red Komodo and the V Raptor. It will allow the full feature set that you're used from DSMC1 and DSMC2 cameras. So yeah, this is, I think, the biggest block that we want to add. But further on, there will be improvements in the visualization of certain menus that we use, that more information is available on all menus. For example, the rangefinder values, that they are available on different scales, that you have the knob position available, for example, when you're in autofocus and it detaches from the focus position, that you can easily catch that focus point again. This will be better visualized and included. And other things like markers. We want to add more markers. Also,
more markers.
Yeah, more markers. Now we have 3, but we will have a few more. Also get them a bit close together. And as I said before, they will be detached from the motor position. So we'll, if you change the lens, the markers can maintain if you want to. Yeah, other than that, the vibration feedback can be turned off and on for the markers. Now we have a feedback that also already gives you a warning before you enter this, get too close to the marker. It will warn you. So this will be able to be turned on and off.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we touched on there was autofocus. Now, those of you that may be familiar with cPRO, all of the systems you have an autofocus function and are compatible with a range of wireless range finders such as the C-Vision. So we'll be covering that as a separate video tomorrow. So we'll have focus puller Gunnar joining us, I believe, telling us about how he's used the C-Vision on the morning show, so the Apple TV's morning show. But we're also, compatible with other rangefinders. Obviously, C-Motion, we had our C-Finder 3, the laser rangefinder, but also ultrasound measurement devices such as CineTape, UDM, and the Focus Bug. Now, these will all go through. And when you've got the lens data, we don't just offer a tracking function. We offer different ways of activating autofocus. So we can set a toggle function. So you simply turn on and turn off. This will then return to the position of the focus knob. We offer a feature called marker pin. Once the target is pressed, this will measure the distance, move to that position and hold until you press the button again, or you can turn the focus knob over the measured distance to regain that control. So it gives you a smooth transition from auto back to manual. Now, if you've got the toggle function active, you can use the catch feature. So the catch feature will allow you to override or activate the catch from assigning one of the buttons, for example, and then once the focus knob passes over, again, it's that smooth transition. So having going from manual to auto has always been easy, but having that transition going back, if you need to fine tune the focus, especially with the shallow depth of field, this is a great way of being able to gain control and take full control of it after being in an autofocus mode.
Yeah, also we have the range license, which enables even deeper functionalities with rangefinders. We will cover that in our session on with C-Vision tomorrow at 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock GMT.
Oh, yes.
There you can interact better with between the manual control on the knob and the rangefinder targets, or in between 2 rangefinder targets, like from automatic ramps between those or manual ramps between those. And we're happy to show you.
Don't tell them too much.
More.
If you want to know more, come and join us tomorrow. Join us for the C-Vision video, because we do get a little excited about this.
This is just to get the impression about it. Visually, you can see it tomorrow in our session, and there we prepared a setup for you.
That'd be good, and we'll
show you in depth.
Yeah. So the whole concept, that we are recording this, believe it or not, and if you may want to watch it back, share it with friends. Or you may be watching the recording, but the whole idea is just to give you that experience of what we have to offer. If you have any questions, I think we can go into questions in a few moments. Just raise your hand in the chat so we can filter that through. But you can contact us directly, of course, at sales@cmotion.eu. Development-wise, I didn't touch on that in this session, but the advancedness, what we have with these, we did cover it in a previous video. But we're working with partners such as NCAM, where they're creating virtual studios and Unreal engines, and they're implementing the C-Motion motors and software and the broadcast camming to create a virtual studio. And we started working with a company, Sisu in America, that are doing high-speed robots, and they're using the cPRO motor to implement with their own user interface. But they can, of course, use the cPRO hand unit, but they're using it with the C-Force Plus to get that extra speed when doing high-speed robotic moves. So if you want to know a bit more about these implementations, or you have a project yourself that you want to contact us about and want some help with support, development, and creating something new, then please contact us, I say, at sales@cmotion.eu, or you can contact myself, Stephen.Chappell@cmotion.eu. And of course, Dennis is available as a product manager to come up with some ideas and get things moving if that's what we need. So just look over. Have we got any questions coming in so far?
Yes, actually, the stealth mode is at the moment it's not integrated into the LQ. Are there any plans to also have this on the LQ?
Yeah, that's an easy thing. Also, the rangefinder functions that I was talking about before will be fully enabled for third-party rangefinders with a new LQ release that we're desperately waiting for. I will kick that in. If this is not turning off, we will check that. For sure, this should turn off as an Albus device on the camera with the stealth mode function as well.
There's another question from Levens.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, yeah, this is Levent. Just a small question. I was wondering if there's going to be any new accessories for the cPRO, such as like the monitor bracket or maybe some other things you're looking to get in to the product palette.
We are indeed working on smaller accessories that allow more functionality. We're working on an accessory rail that goes underneath that hand unit. I can show it here.
There we go.
That goes
over top.
in between here. Actually, I'm just looking out to the side here. Maybe we have it in
the monitor. The monitor bracket was.
No, I don't have it here.
I'm
sorry to not be able to show it you. So it's an accessory rail that goes underneath the hand unit here, and that allows you to basically add other accessories or more accessories than needed, give you more attachment points.
Nice, thanks.
No, you're welcome. I mean, there's quite a few. It's quite interesting on the cMotion LCS Instagram. We've got quite a few ACs that have posted their own modifications where they've done 3D prints. They've added their own attachments with quick release, for example, for their monitors. So it's certainly worth visiting the Instagram post so they can see exactly what other people are doing. There's some great ideas floating around out there. So I think we've got a little message. Is there a message coming through or a question?
Yes.
Oh.
So when is the next software update for the cPRO?
The next software update is planned for Q1 in 2022. So we're just scheduling the features in, and we're expecting it in early Q1 2022.
Another one is there. Can you tell us about focus bug integration a little more, maybe coupled with the LQ software? Yeah,
including the LQ software update. I think a lot of third-party rangefinders, I can just talk in general. We don't have a specific LQ integration as such, like as you may have heard from the ARRI Hive 5. But we cover the basic features differently through our rangefinder license, which will enable most of the functionalities.
So anything, yeah, I was going to say, anything else coming through? I think with one thing is LED, I believe, Focus Bug Technologies is also joining the Chaos Show, and we'll be doing some information about the tags implementation and how he's been using the cPRO system, because using the cPRO Plus with the Focus Bug. So I think that's another session that needs looking out for. But of course, again, any questions, yeah, you can contact us directly and contact Laird at Focus Bug Technologies. Any more questions popping through? No?
Well, then we're happy that you've been here, I think, and we're looking forward to see you at some point on the real show. Meet you guys again. You have seen us. We haven't seen you yet, so
no, exactly.
We're really excited to meet you again.
Yeah, so we'll get it back on the road soon, get back to the trade shows. But yeah, I'd like to thank you all for joining us and watching the video. And again, any questions, if you've missed the session to do it now, please email us. We have, again, just to recap, we have tomorrow, Saturday the 6th, we have the C-Vision presentation at 2 and 8 p.m. GMT, and on Sunday, the Cinefade, where we're going through all the possible applications with Cinefade. Now, just as a point, they are still exclusively compatible, the Cinefade with the cPRO. It will be a later development with the ARRI Hive 5. I know that's something that's been promoted, and we're getting a lot of questions about compatibility. This is something that is coming, but at the moment, it's still exclusively with the cPRO range. But
that's true, Steve. I can confirm that.
Excellent. So anything else coming through, or are we through?
A think we are through.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Well,
guys.
thank you, guys, and looking forward to seeing you all at a trade show soon. All the best.
All the best. Bye.